Today I'll be making my own personal version of the Men in Black Neuralyzer. I'll be making my own design, not a replica of the model seen inside the movies. For the outer and inner body, I'll be using pieces of 3/4 and 1-inch PVC pipe. I'll start by sanding down the outer surface of the 3/4 inch pipe where it slides smoothly inside the 1-inch pipe. I make my initial cut on the 3/4 inch pipe, leaving approximately 1 inch of unsanded surface for a proper fitting of a cap. After attaching a 1-inch cap on the outer body and a 3-inch cap on the inner body, I utilize a spring-loaded tissue holder for the pop-up mechanism. I'm using my Dremel tool to cut an 1/8 inch wide slot in the inside of the outer tube. I'll be attaching a corresponding size piece of PVC to the outside of the inner tube. The purpose of this slot is to keep the inner tube in the same position as it pops in and out of the outer tube. I'm being careful to make sure that I don't cut it too deep and penetrate the outer wall. I insert the spring mechanism to see if any adjustments have to be made. When totally compressed, I want the top of the outer tube to be close to, if not touching, the cap from the inner tube. When the unit is sprung, I want no more than 2 inches of inner tube exposed, or just enough to keep the guide track in position. Since this will be a working neuralyzer, that is working in all aspects except neuralizing someone's brain, I get started on the electronics. I'll be using a white LED panel as an indication that the unit is on, and a red laser LED diode for the flash effect. I'll be cutting a small square directly inside the cap of the inner tube to install the white LED panel. Since the wiring for the lighting will be inside the inner tube and will have to penetrate the outer tube, I'm cutting a slot to keep it from binding. I measure and cut out a slot on the outer tube for the main power switch. Before actually cutting the full slot, I drill a hole and make sure the positioning is correct. To do that, I have to snake the wiring into the hole. I measure, mark, and drill out a hole for the spring clip. It will be the locking mechanism when the main spring is compressed. I check to make sure the wiring slot is long enough so that the spring clip doesn't interfere with its movement. After determining the proper positioning, I drill a corresponding hole for the spring clip in the outer tubing. To keep the spring clip in position, I mix some epoxy and secure down the back end. Make sure the epoxy is not placed anywhere that would hamper the operation of the spring clip. As an added measure, I secured the spring clip with a small screw and then sanded down any excursion through the outer wall. To keep the spring tissue holder from wedging inside the inner tube, I glue on a small circular piece of PVC. I then measure, mark, and drill a hole for the spring clip. After attaching the red LED diode, I temporarily attach a battery to test it before securing it in position. Using my Dremel, I cut out the square hole for the white LED light panel. After test fitting the panel, I could start the permanent installation of it and the LED diode. After drilling the hole for the diode, I press it in position and secure it down with hot glue. All this is done with the battery connected, so I'll know for sure if I lose connection. After cleaning my soldering iron, I attach a small bead of solder to each wire, then attach them to the LED light panel. After covering the contacts with electrical tape, I secure the panel with hot glue. I mark and cut out a corresponding hole for the light panel inside the cap. With all the lights attached, I check the operation of the pop-up mechanism. I cut out an oblong piece of 2mm EVA foam to cover the spring clip button. I used super glue to attach the EVA foam to the outer tubing, being careful not to interfere with the operation of the button. A quick cleanup with some acetone, being careful not to place any on the EVA foam or the surfaces of the LED lights. I used some denatured alcohol to remove all of the acetone residue. I'll be using a momentary spring switch for the initial operation of the Neuralyzer. I'm cutting a slot in the outer tube and securing the switch in a position where the inner tube will keep the switch in a closed position. When the inner tube is sprung, it'll release the switch into the open position. Since I only want lights to have power when the inner tube is sprung, I'll have to wire the switch accordingly. I want the white LED panel to come on immediately after the switch is sprung, but I'll place another momentary push button switch between the power source and the LED laser diode. I reinforce the sides of the switch with small pieces of plexiglass. After the switch is installed, I check its operation. I connect the power source to the switch, in this case a 9-volt battery. My initial thought to keep this project as compact as possible was to attach the battery directly to the switch, then figure out some sort of cover that I could easily remove. I scrapped that idea and decided that I'd have to find a way to attach a battery box to the outside that'll make it much more easier. This will add a bulky aesthetic to the project, but c'est la vie. I'll be using my limited electronic experience to its fullest capabilities. So any of you have any suggestions to make this project a little better, I'll be happy to hear them. And this is a good time for you to stop and take a break and press that like button. At this point in the project, I have to make a decision about the housing for the external electronics. I decided to stay with the same format as the main body, so I cut a piece of 1.5" PVC pipe. I cut out a section of it, then heat formed it into the exact shape I wanted. I need to make end caps for each side of the external housing, so I utilize a piece of EVA foam to create templates. After checking the accuracy of the templates, I cut out the pieces from 16th-inch plexiglass. On the top end cap, I drill a hole for the speaker wire to protrude from. On the bottom end cap, I drill a hole for the momentary switch for the LED laser diode. Then the momentary switch is attached to the bottom end cap. Amazon just delivered the audio circuit board, but in true Amazon fashion, they sent me a defective unit. I'll have to wait another 2 days for the replacement unit to be delivered. It's now 2 days later and I received my replacement audio circuit board. Time to download the sound of the Neuralyzer on the audio circuit board. The circuit board is working on an MP3 format, so I'll have to locate, download, and convert an MP4 audio file. And I have a converter app just for that purpose. Since I'll be using the existing switches for this project, I'll cut and hot wire the push button switch for the soundboard. But first I'll cut and separate the soundboard from the speaker on the adhesive mat. Since I'm working with very light gauge wiring, I want to make sure that all of the connections are soldered very tightly before I close the unit up. I used a small piece of double-sided adhesive tape to secure the soundboard as close as possible to the main switch. Then I complete the wiring by soldering on the power leads. I attach my tubular cover to the electronics, being careful not to damage any of the wiring. Securing it in place with hot glue. I also use hot glue to secure the bottom plate holding the momentary push button. I glue the speaker to the other side of the tubing and create a housing to cover it. I use a small piece of 16th inch thick plexiglass to seal the bottom of the speaker housing. After attaching the battery box, I put a small piece of material over the speaker as well as a decorative grating to protect it. I lightly glue a small piece of PVC to cover the gap between the battery box and the unit. I don't want it to be too secure because I'll have to remove it to change the battery. The protective grate for the speaker is painted black before being attached. I cut a small piece of 1/4 inch PVC to cover the white LED light panel. In the end, I settled on bright silver for the color. So we have another project completed. I'm very happy with the way it turned out. I would have loved to have it a little more slimline and not have this big external battery pack here. If I make this project again, I'd try to find a more compact battery, something that'll fit inside the housing that I have there, and something that's rechargeable that I wouldn't have to worry about removing and replacing batteries. Anyway, here we go. We press the release button and we got the sound and the light here. Now what's actually happening, as soon as I press the button, the light automatically comes on the front, but I have to press the momentary switch button to get that LED light. And what I'm trying to do is press it at the exact same time that we get that sound from the Neuralyzer. And the sound is, I guess, fairly loud. I'd like it to be a lot louder, and if I was going to make it perfect also, I'd like that white light panel to make a bright flash. And like I said, if I do this project again sometime in the future, maybe I can solve all those small little problems. Anyway, let's get you neuralized. You love this video. You're gonna press the like button immediately. You're gonna subscribe. You're gonna press that bell notification, and you're just gonna keep on watching. Thanks.